Please remake the video, because we can't hear you. Smiley face.
This counts, right? So I've decided to edit this video a little differently for two main reasons. One, the usual way that I make these videos would clash heavily with the video I'm responding to. And two, I wasn't sure how to close off this original trilogy. So I thought I might as well subvert expectations, because that's never gone wrong before. This topic actually works out perfectly because I get to fix an old video that had too much background noises. So first I'm going to break down some of the rules Shave puts up, as I'm not going to tiptoe through his web of rules that he's made to make his arguments work.
Let's clear something up real quick. Fire Emblem doesn't actually have 8 fighters in Smash. It has 6. Yeah, did you guys forget this little term Sakurai invented so you would stop complaining about clones potentially stealing slots from other characters?
So in that logic, I should be complaining about Roy for being a slightly faster Fire Marth, but Ken is off limits even though he's the same thing for Ryu? Sakurai is an unorganized mess when it comes to what an Echo Fighter even is, so it should hardly count as an actual point when talking about the amount of representation a certain franchise or game has. Speaking of counting,
they don't have their own numbered slot in the roster, and there's even an option to stack them below the fighter they're based on. They shouldn't be given the same weight as the other Fire Emblem fighters in this discussion.
I'm not sure why he thought bringing up the numbered roster system in Ultimate, as no other fighting game has ever had this. The numbers were introduced in Ultimate as another marketing tactic, along with everything else he just pointed out. Anyways, back to clones in fighting games. I won't go into this topic, but here's a really good video that basically talks about the history of clone characters, and how they've evolved over the years.
Clones aren't clones anymore. They've changed so much that the word doesn't really mean anything anymore. Clones are characters that merely wear the influence of another character in the cast, but push the boat out on ideas that they were too afraid to take further, like some kind of bizarre tribute act that's somehow better than the original artist.
Oh, come on. He essentially says that the entire industry has upgraded their standards of how they handle clones, but it still doesn't apply to most Echo Fighters. Clones in Smash have always been unproductive in the bigger picture. I would go through and elaborate on that, but I really need to move on. Can you see why I was making the Lightlock videos?
Fire Emblem, meanwhile, can't just add in Marth and call it a day. He was only the protagonist of 2 old-ass games and their remakes, leaving 12 other Fire Emblem games completely unrepresented. I actually think 8 Fire Emblem fighters is a great, warranted amount given how many games this series consists of and how each game is structured in terms of story and setting.
The fact that Fire Emblem games are set in unrelated stories with their own characters doesn't justify a character's inclusion. For example, I'll get more into this later, but I'm not sure how many games Corrin is really in. Mostly because I don't care, but from what I can tell, it's just one. Still, if Corrin wasn't there, his story wouldn't be represented. You see how dumb of a point this is? I mean, at the end of the day, even if you disagree with what I've been saying over the past couple minutes, Fire Emblem is still a small franchise that has so many fighters. Even if you agree with the way he counts fighters, there's still always an exception.
There's still an argument that they're all too samey? This is what happens when you forget what the entire purpose of an Echo Fighter is, fam. Pretend they're not even here. Now the only characters who feel too similar are Marth and Roy, which, yeah, of course they do. They were Melee clones. If Byleth was the first true non-Echo Fire Emblem newcomer since Robin, I don't think the franchise would feel as oversaturated.
Do you see how specific he has to be for his points to seem valid? It's all in vain, since even Sakurai himself admitted the overabundance of these sorties. It really enforces how you described Fire Emblem in the beginning of your own video.
This obscure Japanese weeb shit franchise? In what way are they samey outside of their actual character models, which aren't the fault of Smash?
Everything, okay? In what way are they different? They have the exact same personality, they're only capable of having one emotion, and I can sum up the majority of them with these 4 colors. You can try to tell me for hours on end how French vanilla and vanilla bean are different from vanilla, but they're all still vanilla.
Chrom, the 7th Fire Emblem character, got revealed and nobody really complained. Except Kotaku, so let me rephrase that. No one of value really complained. I think everyone, even non-Fire Emblem fans, recognized that he was indeed snubbed from the previous game's roster, and it felt right to include him as a harmless Echo Fighter. He went over nice and easy, and I thought that was really cool.
I don't know why Chrom was a requested character at all. As in Smash, he's just Dad Marth. I don't really care how good Awakening was, or his role in it. He should have just stayed in Robin's final Smash. Because as you said,
The modern era of Fire Emblem that started with Awakening has seen 3 non-remake main installments, all of which got represented with fighters?
And apparently you wouldn't miss out on any kind of unique moveset.
What about all these other old games that have been left to rot?
What are you talking about? Marth, Roy, and Byleth are all there. I'm joking about the Byleth one, but I legitimately think that's Roy and Marth. And as for that one up there, blue-haired anime swordsman. The only one of them with any semblance of a personality is Roy, mostly because Sakurai gave him one. I don't know how accurate this is, but in this small clip he uses in his video, it leads me into thinking that Lucina is a little stubborn. Maybe she's being underestimated. I've seen more personality from this little snippet than her entire representation in both Smash games. People want to hold on to the fact that Fire Emblem isn't a bad franchise, therefore whenever a Fire Emblem character is revealed, it isn't a bad inclusion. But can you name me a single franchise that can realistically get a fighter into Smash that would be less hype than another Fire Emblem character? I'll wait. Even Fire Emblem fans are just kinda okay with each reveal.
I love Fire Emblem, and even I feel the same way about the imbalance in franchise representation.
Fire Emblem Three Houses was one of my favorite games of 2019, but yeah, I get it. I mean, like, I'm committed. I got a Crest of Flames tattooed on my leg, and yeah, I understand it.
Side note, why is it so hard for anyone to say Byleth? Byleth.
Byleth.
Three Houses, as I said, is one of my favorite games ever, and even I was disappointed by Byleth. That's the final piece of the puzzle here. Timing.
Oh, that's real nice.
I feel like the times in which these characters were announced played a big role in the anger and frustration a lot of people felt over their inclusion.
What are you talking about? That contradicts so much in your own video. I'll just give the spark notes. So I can obviously skip Marth and Ike, as they've never had any backlash for being in Smash. Roy only didn't get backlash because there were only 2 of them, and half of Melee's roster were clones. When he came back for Smash 4, he was immune to criticism as he was a returning character. As for Lucina and Robin, well, honestly, I got nothing, but there weren't any circumstances that made these inclusions seem worse than they actually were. Skip to Corrin, who was overshadowed by Bay and Ned, as you said. Prom is the biggest example of being surrounded by good circumstances. Not only were Echo Fighters introduced to lessen the blow, it was an entire presentation full of announcements. So why would anyone focus on the bass player of the Blue Man group? Even with Byleth, Sakurai spent the last half trying to make it up to us by giving us the Cuphead Mii Gunner costume, as well as the announcement of the second Fighter's Pass. Sakurai has tried to sweeten the deal every time, but to no avail. I think that's gonna do it for this video. As you can tell, this was supposed to be like 3 or 4 Lightlog videos worth of information, and I even had other topics to talk about that coincide with this. But you know what, I think this video has been a little boring compared to the other Most Wanted, so you know what, screw it. I'm gonna try something new.
Let's describe a certain franchise. A franchise that multiplies quite literally. Some may disagree. However, in the view of suspect,
A clone is a clone. What? So if they admit or don't. I still talk in the exact same tone. Now the title clone don't apply to all sorties. But all sorties are bland and boring. It's like a disease that plagues this roster screen. I'll cleanse it using gasoline.
And it goes a little something like this.
Yo, you can see that it's all for the money. They joke about swords and think it's funny. He ain't no dummy. He knows our stance. He knows what'll happen in advance. See the blank slate with blue hair? You're bare. You got no swagger, Claire. That's why the clones have caused distress since the 3DS. Here. Test the fighter that just got shown. He knows himself his inclusion's pretty phony. And after he finished the test, read the C-L-O-N-E. And watch him say that the moveset's his own. Yeah, right. Your moves are loaned and your fake is silicone. Do like suspect, take him to the blast zone. Smash the clone. Cause a clone is a clone.
there you have it. The description of a clone. Now ask yourself, are they talking about you? Are you that copy and paste, palette swap, fan fiction, unoriginal, mustard stain on your shirt, have an ass clone? Yup, you probably are.